Welcome to PP. My name is Puj Kalsania. I'm the founder and the CEO of PP. Right now, PP is an education. Right now, one of the department of PP, that is education and training department. It is registered as an enterprise at MSME. This would be a this would be a message from the founder to the world about who we are, what is our aim, what we wish to do, what is our intentions, and a little story about why everything started. And now my first question, the answer of the first question, who we are. Right now, it's just me, Piyush Pulsania, who has an aim to create his own company, my own company, our own company, where I'm going to find like-minded individuals who believe in the dreams, the aims, and the wishes, and the kind of society we wish to create through various services and the manufacturing that we wish to do. And what now my second question, the answer to the second question, what is it that we are trying to do, what we hope to do? As I said, we are trying to create a company that manufactures various products and provides services. And when I say PP manufactures, by that I mean it manufactures quite everything we wish we will need. For example, if we required a certain software, then one of our apartment, that is PP software solution, will be responsible for creating our own operating systems, or maybe any application software, any engineering, or any other software that we will require for the company and for the society and the world. As well as there are going to be 9 to 10 departments at PP as of now, as per what we have thought. And eventually, from this company, we have the aim to create a human colony in space. I know that sounds uprising, but from 100 years from now on, you will see that with the advancement of the technology, we would have found a way to sustain human life in space and on other planets. We would have either learned to change our body to adapt to the environment of the other planet, or change other planet so that human life can be sustained through various controlled environment. And now the story, the little story that will make sense of why we are doing what we wish to do. and how PP Education and Training Department has taken a step forward to improve the life and the decision making ability of the society that we wish to improve with a little improved change in the education that should have been implemented a long time ago since the ever since the independence of this nation, but due to whatever reasons it is not implemented. And what I'm going to really talk about is the part of sex education. We strongly believe that the modern society contradicts the human evolution, the cycle of reproduction, and the way we as human beings at a societal level learn to repress the sexual desires, lie, deceive others, and this society to avoid judgment, shame, or maybe some punishment. And well, so what is the change that I wish that I myself have has experienced in my engineering, in my schooling, and why we decided that we should adjust a very important change to the CBSE board and the president, the chairperson of the CBSE, Rahu Rahu Singh, and we hope that our message will reach the course curriculum team of the CBSE board and they would indeed think about it, and we would hope that there will be a change. And now I will express the how being a student of CBSE, I have expressed living in this society shame and fear towards my sexual desires, and which eventually led to my emotional and mental destruction in my engineering, which also resulted in me having a lot of, I would say, failures in my subjects, due to which I once again struggled to get a job, and I never really wanted to get a job. I always wanted to create my own company, but I lack the courage to face the criticism. I have self-doubt about me. I used to compare myself to others, and my self-esteem used to get reduced and I used to think that they might be better than me, but I will leave all of this behind. And this will also link to why we are creating this company with so many departments that are really responsible to create a self-sustained environment where we help ourselves. We do the extraction of raw materials, transforming it, adding value to it, and then presenting it to the society as a product that could be used by them, which will result in the development of this society and the nation, improving the lives of human beings. And next would be the part of services. The same thing goes with services. And now the I tell story which will make you understand that how just because of in our country the way Indian families, the way society in general suppresses about talking, they suppress talking about sex, and especially minors, no, teenagers from the age of 13 years till the age of 16 to 18 years, when they experience biological changes in the body, such as girls, they becoming reproductive with the starting of their menstruation cycle, as well as the development of their breast and the broadening of their hips. And when it comes to men, they experiencing the growth of various pelvic hair, as well as a large erection of their reproductive organ. Both in boys there is enlargement of their penis, and in women's they have the menstruation. The thing that no one talks about is the part of what you do when you have sexual arousal. Both men and women, both boys and girls, they experience based on their biology. Sexual arousal, to fulfill which they explore things such as porn, self-pleasure. It is good as long as they are exploring their own body and what they like, but it becomes a problem when they started getting addicted to it. It even becomes a problem when this repression goes to the point where they do not take the consent of the other party, where they no longer respect whether the other person they agrees to have sex with them or not, but they will forcefully do it with them. That's the sexual assault. We also lack this very important information about what to do when we have sexual arousal. Some who are able to understand and control this, they are able to control their animalistic and something that is natural instinct. Meanwhile, others who don't, they indulge in various addictions such as porn and self-pleasure, as I said. And then comes the part of law, which our administration fails to understand is that in in the democracy, in the society, females and girls, they are not the only one who becomes victim of the sexual harassment, of the sexual assault and the rape, but as well as boys also, boys and men, they also do become it, they do become the victim of non-consensual sex. And we have proposed that there should be an audio video consent in every premarital sexual act. By the social norms, it is discouraged to engage in such acts before your marriage, but it really depends on the individual choice and the mutual consent of the other party, of the other person, whether they want to have it before their marriage. And this is where laws such as Actions 69 from BNS, which is being passed by the Indian Parliament, becomes a problem for men, for boys, because by that law, a woman who are basically termed as helpless and victim, they can use that law to get financial and career growth in their prime years of their life after their graduation. And this just becomes injustice to an institution, not to an individual person. This just becomes injustice to an institution. And this is something that I am going to talk later. I will explain this later. Right now, I will come back to the part of pre-audio video consent in premarital sex, where when it comes to the part of building healthy relationship, honesty is one of the most important criteria. And in our society, since it is discouraged by the norms to not engage in premarital sex, but those who does it in order to be accepted by the other person, they lie, and this lie, it ruins the trust that should be in a marital life between husband and wife. And this is where we hope that Indian Parliament will understand that a virgin individual marrying a non-virgin individual marrying a virgin individual without the consent and their knowledge should be a criminal offense. As well as every other sex offense law should become gender neutral. This is the way of the democracy. That is how you empower women while making them accountable for their actions. In fact, we also do hope that there will be premarital agreement. Once again, it goes against the norm of the society, of the various rituals. Since India is a diverse country having various social vision based on religion, having their own rituals, it creates a problem. But this premarital agreement it gives individuality, it gives the other person, it gives everyone the power to take individual decisions as well as hold them accountable for their actions. It gives them freedom, privacy, and justice. In fact, with such administration, the problem of judiciary will be gone. Next is the part of removable of injustice laws such as Section 69. Now I am going to talk about how these Section 69 it is injustice to every company, and it does not help in women empowerment, but it simply is a law that will ruin the nation. Not only that, this is a law that is a mockery and an insult to every founder who has worked hard during their initial years of creating their company. So the laws sections 69 from BNS says that if by any means, if by any un, if by any deceitful means any sexual act was to be performed, or missing job and promotion or marriage, and if that promise is not fulfilled, then the man will be at the end of 10 years of imprisonment. Now this mentality and this ideology of the parliament to threaten, to intimidate, to make men fear, to keep them in line is simply an absurd law. We understand that both men and women, they are human beings and they have sexual desires. If you look at evolution and the addition, you will find that women, their primary instinct their primary instinct is the social security for them to reproduce. And in our modern society, we do it by focusing on the career, by building in that finance, that and well, as a founder, if in my company or in any other company, if a manager or any authoritative position, whether that be a man, since Parliament justify their law stating the fact that this is a patriarchy society where woman likes the position and power, then I would like to tell them no one has stopped them from creating their own company. To enter into various entrance examinations, to get that position and understand their responsibility and accountability with it. But in our society, once a woman gets into power, they are the same human beings they hate. They would not shy away from exploiting men sexually. This tells about the human nature that when a person have power, when they have control over their subordinates, then how they might be the one to exploit them. As a founder, I will not be liking such laws that are formulated by them. And in fact, I am someone who opposes the various schemes that are being launched by the government and the parliament. As an individual, as an institution, I don't. It's not my concern what the government does. That would be a business to us. But even as a businessman, the unfair policies that are formulated in favor of women with the explanation that they are trying to empower women is simply absurd. I hope the founder, the board of directors, and the shareholders of every company will raise a voice against such laws such as Action 69, which ruins the integrity and the competency of any private institution. And by institution, I mean any organization, any firm, any private company, etc. These are few of the changes that we hope to give to the CBSE board, where a strict administration will be responsible for conducting special sex education sessions where they will be explaining the students about the sex offense law and their accountability when they are going to be an adult. Not only that, the rape law should be made gender neutral. There are certain sections in the law which tell us that how illiterate and how incompetency our leaders are, and it is going to damage the society themselves in the long run, and how society should elect better leaders, how there should be certain minimum standards that should be met before anyone is given a ticket to contest in the election by the Election Commission of India, etc. And now back to the story where I'm going to explain of how this idea of me trying to create my own company came into my mind. I'm going to be quick about it and tell only the very important points. The first time when I entered into the engineering college, I saw a couple of a fourth year couple having tea together, and the the guy he had his sip of his sip from the cup of tea, and later from that same cup his close girlfriend, his close female friend, or maybe most likely be his girlfriend, taken another sip from that same cup, from his cup. And at that time I wondered that how close they are, how that guy had someone to whom he trusts, and that girl, she was very physically attractive and desirable. And this is where the competition in engineering colleges to get female attention and sex comes into play. And this is also where the incompetency of the sex education during the teenage years in our school, as well as the injustice rape law that are being formed by our parliament, that are supported by the government, comes into effect, where we as students, we are not taught about how the rape criminal proceedings are done, but we only see the part where how a rape accused is insulted, humiliated, degraded, at times beaten, abused by the society, and they lose their liberty. And of course, there is total police investigation and court proceedings behind it, but we are not told about that. Now, those individuals who does not know these things, and since sexual desires are held by everyone, and those and everyone at one point they would have indulged in self pleasure, in my opinion. There may be exceptions, no one knows the truth, but here's where that the fear, the shame, fear, and the intimidation that is being associated with a rape accused threatens a man to do things they may be hurted to do things against their will by the girl, by the woman, and they really cannot share these things with anyone. Now that law sections 69, which with an intent, I don't know what is their intent. I don't even think they should have ever passed. Indian Parliament should have ever passed this law, because females, they also do have sexual desires and they are shameful about it. They are shameful, they are fearful to express it to men. It's only when they have a very close relationship with their counterpart they are able to express it. And the only thing that I want is the part where revenge, anger, and the breakup takes place, which much more likely drove a man to commit suicide under the threat of losing their dignity, self-respect in the society. We live in a society where the identity of a rape victim is hidden and a rape accused is open to the news channel and to the media. Such individuals, they faced a lot of struggles finding a job. Not only that, they are socially isolated, they are insulted, humiliated, and dehumanized many times. Meanwhile, when it comes to the part of disclosing the identity of a woman, of a girl, there are times of honor killing, that the girl has bring shame into the family, so she must be killed. This is where education should be imparted to the society, because this is going to be the next generation that will be leading this country. So it is very important that we incorporate these things into the social science, expressing and making people think about the superstitious beliefs that are deeply rooted into the Indian culture. And being honest about everything. Not only that, we should respect the fact that there should only be equality of opportunity, and everyone has to make an effort for it. And this is where the second part of my story will begin, where I just desired that thing. I wanted to experience that same closeness with a woman, and I faced rejection for the first time in my life. And at that time, I had this desire to have a very attractive woman with me, supporting me in fulfilling my dreams, and in fulfilling the dreams of both. I will be a very, I wanted to be a very successful CEO, leading a big company, and she being, I I will have a very attractive woman who will be feminine, sweet, kind, gentle, also smart, be with me. And that's where, just due to the Indian superstitious belief of astrology and the tarot card, which just talks about sixth sense, which just talks about which talks about intuition and various other things, that I became a victim of this, and this is where I experience, and I deeply feel the fear of becoming a victim of false charge of rape if I was to express my sexual desires to a woman. And that's the time when I realize that in our society, privacy, the one who thinks rationally and the one who understands how to hide things, how to have premarital sex in their school, in their teenage years, in their school, in their college, and simply hide it behind their husband, maybe try to marry a virgin husband, a rich, successful virgin husband, and later cheat him or simply use court and legal law as a tool of intimidation and to exploit financial gain for her financial gain. And all of these things, this must be addressed, and this is where that pre-battle agreement takes into effect, which gives freedom and accountability to both men and women. I understand that there can be plenty of questions that might arise in the mind of the viewers, but and it will most likely be related to the part of how we are going to know the truth. Well, there are plenty of ways, and by that audio video consent, it will be very clear of how one can protect oneself from the selfish nature of human beings. We are human beings and we are selfish. Everyone is selfish in their nature, and everyone should be honest about it and be made accountable for it. And by this change and transparent sex education, I hope society will understand that they have no control and it is wrong for them to shame and spread fear towards sex, repressed other person sexually. And this is where education should teach students, should teach teenagers everything about their consequences. In fact, there should even be legal adult sex centers, and prostitution should be fully legalized as it is done in some other countries, which will solve the problem of rape. When I do think that how injustice it is for those people who have really committed this crime, they serving 10 to 20 years of imprisonment and at times life imprisonment. How injustice is for them to do this. Yes, I understand that they have the control over their actions, but with this injustice laws and the way how a woman exploits men financially, emotionally, and sexually while holding no accountability, life of a man is very difficult. And this is where the policy of PP came into place, where we at PP, as of now, as long as Indian Parliament are not going to retract their law of Section 69 and take steps to make sexual harassment law gender neutral at workplace, this is going to be a male dominated company at a later stage. As of now, it is an enterprise that is going to be a male dominated one, as long as there are not very, we don't find really talented individuals, really talented and skilled individual females, and only then we might think of hiring them. Otherwise, if there are males, if there are men who can replace them, then we will gladly trust a guy to do the hard work and understand the aims, the mission and the goal of the company and work achieving their personal objectives and the objectives of the organization, of the company. This will be my request to the government to please improve law. I understand that a nation is built when everyone supports, when everyone work together. If we as an enterprise was to develop, then we would help develop the country, we will develop this nation, and eventually we are going to develop the world. But in order to do that, we require talented individuals, and with the policies that are formulated by the government and parliament, this is not possible. We can't have incompetent women working in our company. We do not want to hire them. Neither we would be wanting that a low level employee, that a low level at a low hierarchy managers who would sexually exploit female counterpart, they are female subordinates, and women who would be having sex for any financial and career gain. This only spoils the company. This will only make incompetent people climb the ladder, climb the corporate ladder, which will at a later stage ruin the company. And of course, I have a solution to this problem, which at a later stage we might discover, we might discuss with the public. And if the government, if the parliament does not respect us and they decided to use force and intimidation and does not respect us, we do not, as of now, we would not respect their authority as well. And this is where the second aim of the company comes into play. So from a company, this will transform to a country. As I have said in the beginning, that we will create a human colony ship. What do I really meant to say is that we will create our own company. This, we will create our own country. This company will transform to a country that have no elections, but a democratic rule where there will be equality. I'm sorry, that would not be a democratic. That would not be a democratic rule, but there will be principle of democracy with an architect of monarchy. That will be a different form of government, which we will discuss, which I might reveal when we would really be close to achieving such a dream. Maybe in next 50 to 70 years, or maybe not in my lifetime.